Hello, today is what is today? The 26th of March 2026. But according to the Chinese calendar, it is Moon 2, day 8. So, 8th day of the second moon, the apricot moon. So, my name's Ollie, this is Reds on Horizons. I'm an Eastern physiotherapies practitioner from the south of England, that's South Sea, Portsmouth, UK. So, all sorts of things like acupuncture, acupressure, Daoyin, Tai Chi, and Taoist stones, all these kind of integrations I have had over the last 20 years with Taoist practices, but never really looked that much into Taoism. I have a copy of the Tao Te Ching, but obviously this is looking at each and every single day of the lunar cycles, or the Chinese calendar as it stands today, day by day, and looking at Taoist traditions that align with those specific dates. So still using as a prompt the Lunar Tao by Deng Mingdao. Today is, as I said, day 8 of Moon 2, so it's quite an involved one. I normally just take a couple of excerpts from here, take some bits from, and take a passage from the Tao Te Ching, but go in and then just kind of like reference some self-massage, self-acupressure, self-meditation, or some sort of crystal alignment, sound frequencies, sound healing, all that kind of stuff, or diet, exercise, etc. But today is a very kind of a philosophical one, because today is the commemoration day for Sima Qian. So Sima Qian, we'll read this through. I'm going to read most of this page because it's really involved in that sense, but I'm still going to try and keep this to under 10 minutes. So Sima Qian was a historian who was basically persecuted for standing up for what he believed was right, and even castrated and imprisoned for that. So Sima Qian lived from 145 to 90 BCE, so obviously it counts backwards, so this is before Christ, etc. So 145 to 90 BCE is considered China's foremost ancient historian. His work covers over 2,000 years, from 2696 through to 87 BCE, from the Yellow Emperor to the Han Emperor Wudi. He completed the records of the Grand Historian, or rather he completed his records of the Grand Historian under considerable tribulation, and he is remembered for his clear writing and great determination. Beginning at the age of 20, he actually took this over. So he was asked to rewrite or to create a new calendar, so a new way of dividing up the annual lunar cycles, etc. It will get to that, but yeah, effectively, I think his father actually started it, and he took over the role from his father, and basically, in order for him to then still be able to do that, he chose. We'll get to that, but he chose one fate rather than suicide or anything else. Okay, so he effectively, in 99 BCE, Sima Qian addressed Emperor Wudi in defense of General Li Ling, who was blamed for a disastrous defeat. This enraged the emperor, and he ordered Sima executed. The condemnation could only be commuted by money or castration. Obviously, he didn't have the money, so he chose the latter. He could have also committed suicide, but in doing that, he would have forfeited the way of completing his father's work, visiting his parents' grave, all this kind of stuff. And obviously castration was a not just a physical thing, but was something that meant it stopped your lineage, you would have no children, that kind of thing. And more beyond that, obviously it was still a very male dominated world, and obviously that was an even bigger thing. So for all of us, Sima's story is important in these ways. He spoke out against injustice. General Li Ling commanded 5,000 troops against the Shan Yu, part of the Xiongnu, from areas that included present-day Siberia, Mongolia, and Manchuria. Vastly outnumbered, the Chinese troops fought to the death. Li Ling was captured, and the Emperor Wudi condemned him to death in absentia. When Sima Qian was told to state his opinion, he spoke honestly. So, yeah. He spoke his honest opinion and was persecuted for it, was sentenced to death, or was given the option of paying a ridiculously high amount of money or castration. Second, not a single person interceded on Sima's behalf. No one spoke for him. No one offered the money that could have spared him. Okay. Thirdly, suicide was considered more honourable, and yet Sima Qian wrote that he had considered, if had he committed suicide, people would have assumed that he had no other alternative. He would have been unable to finish his father's work, and would have been unable to visit his parents' grave. Yep. Okay, and he declared, as a quote, "A man has only one death." Okay, so his castration was physically, mentally, and socially devastating. Sima Qian stated that there was no greater defilement, and that he would not be considered a man anywhere, since eunuchs were universally detested at the time. Okay, so Sima described himself as a mutilated wretch, fit only for the serving in palaces or where women's apartments. Okay, whose only hope of vindication was for his histories to be read after his death. Okay, so he looked at the bigger picture in that sense and made a call. Okay, so excuse me. Sima Qian, a great man in world history, reminds us to study the past diligently, because the injustices he endured and recorded are constantly repeated in every country around the globe. Okay. The powerful humiliate us every day, but our forbearance must be stronger than the oppression that would crush us. There we go. I'm going to read that again. So the powerful humiliate us every day, but our forbearance must be stronger than the oppression that would crush us. Okay, so it's effectively wouldn't say it wouldn't be like a whistleblower in that sense, but ultimately, yes, he spoke up and stood up for what he believed in, and was persecuted and was given the option of either being executed, castrated, or whatever the other word I was looking for, or paying a pricely sum, effectively. So that is kind of the way of, and there's still very much the way today, isn't it? How many people get away with this, that, and the other because they're in a certain position that they need to be in, and they have the money, or the digital money nowadays, which means nothing, to exempt themselves. Okay, so that is so the title that they gave for this was Greater Than Shame, and it's obviously, so yeah, but obviously it's kind of like a falling on your sword sort of type thing, but for your own principles rather than for like a samurai thing, which would be like for the sake of your retainer or the shogun, etc. Okay, so the one I haven't really picked out. Well, I picked out a passage from the Tao Te Ching, but I haven't picked anything beyond that, because obviously there isn't really anything you can attribute to that. You can talk about courage, and you can talk about all that kind of stuff, crystals that align with courage and everything else, but ultimately we're really talking more about principles. And even if you would talk about crystals that align with courage, like smoky quartz and amazonite, etc., blue stones, black stones, all that kind of stuff, we're really talking more about treatments of past things. We're not talking about the fear of here and now. Anything beyond that, really, you could use any of those, but you would use them as a talisman, and you can use anything as a talisman. But ultimately, that's still, we're still talking about inner strength, inner courage, and looking at the greater picture and putting the greater picture before yourself, you know. Okay, so the only thing I've really picked is just one passage from the Tao Te Ching, and we are at 9 minutes, so on time. Okay, so the master gives himself up to whatever the moment brings. He knows that he is going to die, and he has nothing left to hold on to. No illusions in his mind, no resistances in his body. He doesn't think about his actions, they flow from the core of his being. He holds nothing back from life, therefore he is ready for death, as a man is ready for sleep after a good day's work. Okay, so that is, it's a little bit of a morbid one today, but it's an important one, obviously, and it is effectively looking back and being inspired is the thing, obviously, being inspired by someone else's story from, well, yeah, many years ago, BC or BCE as they say nowadays. So yep, that is everything for today. I will leave it there. If you're wondering why I'm stood up, obviously there is a couch right here. So previously in all the previous ones, I've been doing this from the tie mat. You can actually see the mat is rolled up behind me, but I've got the couch out today because I'm going to be doing some stuff from the couch today, and some filming from the couch, and doing a couch treatment tomorrow as well, and then eventually I'll switch back to the tie mat. And yeah, but so far this is quite nice. It turns into a table, and it's the books kind of sit open more easily. I'm not kind of like leaning over to do that. So yeah, that is everything for today. I will see you for tomorrow.